Okay, welcome to our presentations. We are the ModelMess magicians. We have this. We will start with this problem. Will you go back? Where we want to map data between BIM elements and all the multiple data sources we have on a BIM project, which could be PDFs, emails, meeting recordings, and so on. Yeah. What is very common in the AIC industry is that we are dealing with very big projects, which involves a lot of people. Also, often the decision makers, the one who are speaking with the client, the architect, the engineers, are often not the same people as the designers. So the one which generates data changes are not the one who should imply the data changes. And often there will be a miscommunication on projects because data simply get lost. So finding relevant documents and agreements for the particular item that you are trying to design can be quite tough. So our problem was, how can we quickly search through comprehensive information from multiple sources on specific elements within our BIM models? What we would do today would be that we would go into our folder path and try to dig up a relevant PDF file, which we actually don't know where it's put. Because we have endless folder path, we have endless amount of files, and we have endless amount of pages in these files, and hundreds of emails, and possibly also meetings which are unrecorded. So what we would do would be a trial and error approach, where we will simply spend hours searching for if something has happened. So we suggest a new approach for this. Yep.
And that looks like this. So over here we have all the different sources of information. So we have our Revit model, where we extract the information using Grasshopper. We have meeting minutes, where we've used Whisper as a speech-to-text tool to get it to text. We have the PDFs, emails, and all of that is then stored into a JSON file format. And then we've created a static web application using Astro, among other tools, that combines the elements from Revit with all these different sources of documents and information. And in Revit we have made this plugin, so we can actually go to this web application, and that we will show in the demo as well. So if we go to the next slide, the test project we've been using, delivered by NIOS, is Ørestaden Skøjtehal, a skating facility. We only had the electrical model, but a lot of the documents regarding the project as a whole. Yeah, so that is that's the case, and then we'll see a demo.
Thanks. As we saw in the previous step, our project consists of two stages, let's say. First, we have the core, which is doing the matching, finding the data and everything. And then we have the second step, which is an integration inside of Revit, which is a widely used software in our industry. For this reason, we have created now the interface here, which is running through Rhino inside Revit technology, which is quite easy to use for the user, because you don't see all the Grasshopper scripts and everything, all the wires, which are not everyone is very familiar with. For that reason, we do have only a button which will open a user interface, which can be seen in the following video. So focusing on this model, we will select a single element in which we can read some property, which is the type of the property. And then once we run our tool, we will have this interface where we can click to select the elements. Then here all the available parameters will show up, which after we click, they will give us a search code, which will go through all the files. So once we select the element, we see all the parameters. We will focus mostly on the GUID, IFC GUI ID. However, we can have several other parameters. Once we click on the button, this runs in the background. It runs the core code, which we have created. and then we can see all the files which are stored in different locations. We can see the file path. We can see the page in the file where the information is, and we do have also a snippet of what that specific file contains related to this specific element.
All right, and this was a lot of data, and that was intentional. We've been mapping almost every property between every element in the model and all the documents and meeting minutes and emails. So we have a lot of data. The JSON file is like 150 megabytes from this project. But this was very intentional because we want to start big, and then we want to, in I guess the future, if you can move on, to move on to have more iterations, go together with domain experts and find out what is valuable for the individual person who are sitting in Revit or other software to actually find in these documents. Maybe 42 is not like a match between a model will give you some bad results. But there are ways where you can improve this, of course, working together with domain experts, but also do this. The way we have done this is just simple string matching. Is it the same? Then there's a match and there's a relation. Fuzzy matching could be more interesting, and even try to use LLMs to enrich with other data sources. Ask the LLM, is this part that we found in a document actually about this thing that we have here? Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I can start off. Super interesting. Again, solving problems. I've done a couple of projects like this, and you actually see a lot of the large language models today just adopt different file formats, different documents. How would this differ? Have you seen? I don't know if you've tried like. Yeah, even ChatGPT, I've seen some examples of tapping into different data sources. So I'm just...
I guess you could feed all your data, like hundreds and hundreds of documents to GPT and ask it something similar. But this is very specific about the element, I guess. So we did all the matching across all sorts of different properties, lots of batch processing behind that before we actually have the document, and then also like how do you interact with it, and that's we're aiming for Revit, but you can also, it's just a static web page actually serving the information. But like to actually solve the problem within the tool that people are working in, and where they have the problem, where they need the information, not having to go to ChatGPT or something, upload thousands of documents, and then ask it questions, because that would also be a different way of interacting with the information.
Yeah, I think what I'm trying to say, I think you can go really fast to the AI chatbot integration. It doesn't need to take a long time, and it's super needed out there. So your time to value might be much shorter than you actually think, because the technology is growing. So these specific GPTs, right, would be super relevant.
And it would be super interesting also to use it, like the LLM and the text, to actually refine the results. Oh, I'm only interested in emails between this date and this date, and then use that as a filter.
I think, yeah, super relevant challenge of finding information and files from specific purposes. You said that you use this for now with the electrical model. Would this be adaptable right away to be used also with kind of architectural models or structural model? So no need to...
It is already working with any type of model. Okay. It may be an IFC imported in Revit for architecture or any other discipline. What it's basically doing is just getting the relevant information from this specific object. So it does work with anything.
Okay.
And as we saw, the parameters are always dynamic, referring to this specific element. So you can always refer to one or more parameters for which you can search for.
Okay.
great presentation. I haven't got any questions.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.